Buenas tardes, estudiantes. Good afternoon. This week, we are celebrating a very important day, Veterans Day. We are honoring our military members who have protected and served us. Today, our activity is listening to a story because of the fact that Wednesday is Veterans Day and that is your Spanish day. This is not one of your regular assignments. This is just a story to enjoy that includes some Spanish vocabulary. So have a seat, relax, and enjoy this book that I'm going to share with you today. Before I begin, here we have a map of our great big world. Now, in our world, there are hundreds of different languages that are spoken. But in 21 of these countries, the main language, the most popular language spoken is Spanish, 21 of them. So I'm going to read a book with you today that's going to introduce a whole variety of Spanish vocabulary words that would be used in these 21 countries. Okay, so this book is called The Fabulous Lost and Found by Mark Pallis. So here we see a giant room filled with odds and ends and all kinds of different things that maybe you would find in a lost and found, and some that seem pretty strange to be in a lost and found. Let's find out what happens. In the middle of the big city is a tiny yellow building. If anyone loses anything, this is where it ends up. It is called The Lost and Found. Mr. and Mrs. Frog keep everything safe, hoping that someday every lost watch and bag and phone and toy and shoe and cheese grater will be returned to their owner. But the shop is very small and there are so many lost things, it is all quite a squeeze. But still, it is fabulous. One sunny day, a little mouse walked in. "Welcome," said Mrs. Frog. "What have you lost?" "He perdido mi sombrero," said the mouse. Mr. and Mrs. Frog could not speak Spanish. They had no idea what the little mouse was saying. What shall we do? They wondered. What would you do if somebody spoke a language to you that you didn't understand? Oh, that's a great idea. Using gestures or drawing a picture. Awesome ideas. Maybe she's lost an umbrella? Everyone loses an umbrella at least twice, thought Mr. Frog. Have you lost this? Un paraguas? No, replied the mouse. Paraguas is one of my favorite Spanish words because it translates to para, which is for, agua, which is water, for water, which is perfect because what does an umbrella protect us from? Exactly, water. Then Mrs. Frog remembered something that had been handed in a few moments ago. "Is this yours?" Mrs. Frog asked, holding up a chunk of cheese. "Queso? No. Eso apesta," said the mouse. "Time to put that cheese in the bin, dear," said Mr. Frog. "Maybe the word sombrero means coat," said Mr. Frog. "Now, where did I put that nice yellow one?" Do you think sombrero means coat? I don't think so either. "Got it," said Mr. Frog. "Un abrigo." This is an abrigo. "No, he perdido mi sombrero," said the mouse. She was starting to feel a bit frustrated. "We need to keep trying," said Mrs. Frog. No he perdido una bufanda, scarf, ni unos pantalones, ni un suéter, ni unos zapatos, ni unas gafas del sol, He perdido mi sombrero, said the mouse. What is a sombrero? Ni dos bicicletas, did not lose bicycles. Ni una computadora, didn't lose a computer. Ni tres libros, ni cuatro plátanos. Plátanos, what do you think that is? You're right, bananas, plátanos. Ni cinco llaves. Start that car or open that door with llaves. It was no good. A fat, wet tear rolled down the mouse's cheek. How about a nice cup of tea? Asked Mrs. Frog kindly. Me encanta el té. Gracias, replied the mouse. They sat together sipping their tea and all feeling a bit sad. Suddenly, the mouse realized she could try pointing. She pointed at her head. Sombrero, she said, sombrero. I've got it, exclaimed Mrs. Frog, leaping up. A wig, of course, said Mrs. Frog. No es una peluca, said the mouse. No es roja, ni rubia, blonde, remember, ni marrón, brown, ni multicolor, ni verde, green. Look at all of our colors here that we talked about when we talked about hair color. What about this? Asked Mr. Frog, pulling back a curtain. Sombrero, exclaimed the mouse. Ah, so sombrero means hat. Wonderful. Mr. and Mrs. Frog cheered. Este es demasiado alto, demasiado pequeño, demasiado apretado, demasiado grande. Look at all these different hats. Too tall, too small, too big, all these different hats. One hat left, said Mrs. Frog, reaching all the way back to the back of the cupboard. Gotta find the right sombrero. It couldn't be this whole thing, could it? Mi sombrero! He encontrado mi sombrero! Muchas gracias, said the mouse. I have found my hat. And look at that. He found his sombrero. And just like that, the mouse found her hat. Adios, she said as she skipped away. Adios, replied Mr. and Mrs. Frog. I wonder who will come tomorrow, said Mr. Frog. Mrs. Frog put her arm around him. I don't know, she replied, giving him a squeeze. But whoever it is, we will do our best to help. The end. So, this book is a great way to just learn a few new vocabulary words. You can rewatch it and see if you can remember some of the new words. Thank you so much for tuning in this week, and I look forward to our lesson together next week. Adios.